This is the most highly anticipated player to ever enter the NBA. Maybe the greatest prospect in the history of team sports.
Rejected out the ring.
Like, we have never seen something like that before. You gotta get ready for this kid. You know, he's gonna be really good.
Never sleep again.
The San Antonio Spurs might be the most blessed organization in NBA history. 25 years after this happened, the San Antonio Spurs have secured their third generational big man. And strictly from a talent perspective, Victor Wembanyama is something we have never seen before. Because, well, he can do things like this. Wait, hold up. You just saw what I saw, right? Let's rewind this for a second. Here he is with the ball at the three-point line. He gets all the way down to cross over the smaller defender before spinning inside, absorbing the contact, and just extending to the rim. Just to put into perspective how ridiculous this is Victor Wembanyama next to Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert is 7'1", and yet he's out here hitting double crossovers into spin moves. However, before we talk more about how generational Victor is, can we talk about how the Spurs might have pulled off one of the greatest moves in NBA history? After finishing with a record of 34-48 last year, the Spurs were sitting in NBA purgatory, so they made a decision.
Matt, speaking of trades, the San Antonio Spurs are trading all-star guard DeJounte Murray to the Atlanta Hawks as they pivot towards a rebuild. In exchange, they'll get forward Danilo Gallinari and 3 first-round picks.
And this was genius for 2 reasons. Not only did they give themselves a better chance at Wemby, but they turned a decent point guard into 3 first-round picks and a pick swap. And well, that helped them draft this guy.
Hands off Wembanyama. Oh my goodness. Uh-oh. Whoa!
This was one of 7 threes he made that game, and he was just messing around throughout. I mean, how many bigs have you seen slip a screen and not roll to the basket, but step back for a corner 3? Now, just in case you think he doesn't do big man things because of that play, well, in this same game, he also did this. Here's Scoot Henderson with the ball out top. A Russell Westbrook level athlete. He blows past his defender, and so let me pause right here. That looks like a free lane to the rim, right? Right? That is if there wasn't a 7'4" alien there to make a block with his left hand that maybe 4 players in the NBA currently could make. Maybe. Or how about this play where he's facing up his defender, he hits him with a couple of pump fakes before going to a sidestep mid-range jumper that has no right to be that fluid. And this is a game that I'm sure a lot of you guys remember, because it was here where the whole world got to see that the hype is real. Because over 2 games against the G League Ignite, Wemby was literally unreal, averaging 36.5 points, 8 boards, and 4.5 blocks on 50-50 splits. Just to put this into perspective, Jalen Green, who was drafted 2nd overall as a scorer averaged these numbers in the G League at the same age as Wemby. Now obviously it's a 2-game sample size, but even still, to put up 35 points and 4 blocks in a G League game is special. To do it twice in a row, well, that's generational. And it's not like he hasn't dominated in France either, averaging 22, 11, and 3 blocks per game. Now, just in case you aren't completely blown away by those numbers, he leads the French league in points, rebounds, and is averaging the most blocks in French league history. Yeah, pretty decent stuff, I'd say. Now, I might be the only one to say this, but this isn't going to be a one-man team either. Everyone is familiar with Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, and I'll briefly touch on Trey Jones in a bit. Yes, I will. But I want to talk about Jeremy Sochan, because what these two could do on the defensive end might be truly special. We'll talk about Wemby's defense in just a second, but Sochan has already shown his college play translates at the NBA level. Here he is fighting over a screen to stay attached to Luka. He then fights around another screen before doing just enough to throw Luka off and then ripping the board away. Or how about this play where he is 30 feet from the basket guarding Damian Lillard, who goes to his sidestep 3 and Sochan blocks it? Yeah, that's not something you see very often at all. And he's not strictly a defensive specialist either. After only showing flashes in the first half of the season, over the last 20 games, he averaged just under 16, 6 and 3, which included 2 games where he left early because of injury that skewed his numbers a bit. And yes, he shot 80% from the line doing this. But getting back to Wemby, the idea of the switchability and disruptiveness of Sohan paired with this all-time great shot-blocking talent is tantalizing. I mean, Wemby's defense alone is worth the price of admission. Take this play for example. Wemby comes up to the level of the screen. He then rotates over to close out on the shooter before moving his feet laterally, and even with a slight bit of separation created, he erases that shot. Or here where he is defending a 3-on-1 fast break. Watch him sprint back to prevent the easy layup before turning his hips as the ball is passed outside of him, squaring up and meeting this guy at the apex whilst still moving backwards. Kevin O'Connor of The Ringer said this: if he were on the Bucks, he could play either the Giannis Antetokounmpo role as a help defender or the Brook Lopez role in drop coverages. So 2 DPOY candidates for the price of 1. Sounds pretty good to me. Now, I don't want to take too much attention away from this superhuman, but the most important player on this Spurs team for Wemby might be Tre Jones. I guarantee no one will talk about Tre Jones on a team with Victor Wembanyama, but hear me out for just a sec. Tre Jones might be the perfect non-star point guard that you could pair with Victor at this stage of his career. Right here is a list of the players with the best assist to turnover ratio. A very, very good list. Now, I don't know if the Jones family used to scold their children whenever they turned the ball over in a basketball game, but whatever they did worked. And just having someone like this who can orchestrate the offense without trying to do too much is perfect for Vic. The last thing you want is a PG that is going to look off Vic when he has a post up or is open for 3 and go ISO. Tre will ensure he gets the ball and make very few mistakes whilst doing so. I know people don't care, but that matters a lot. Because offensively, well, if you give him the ball in the post, he can back down defenders and get to a hook shot. He can hit you with one-legged Dirk Nowitzki fadeaways, dream shakes. Pretty much any post move you can name, he can do. And he does it with a level of fluidity that does not look humanly possible. And I genuinely mean that. Here he is bringing the ball up the floor. Because why not? He hits an in and out crossover into another crossover into a spin move fadeaway, and it's as pure as a shooting guard. Or another example where he's getting pressed at half court, he dribbles between his legs to escape the double before bypassing the defender and somehow dropping it in from an impossible angle. I could also mention the fact that he's an underrated passer as well, but we'll save that for another day. In the meantime, I just can't wait to see Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs play this year. Just congratulations, Spurs fans. That's all.